Billionaire denies black waitress service. Her next move will shock you. What if a billionaire tried to destroy your dream, but you used his cruelty to build something that would change your life and the world? Kira Black moved through the polished chaos of Lucille, one of Manhattan's most exclusive restaurants, with the grace of someone who'd mastered the art of invisibility. At 28, her dark eyes sparkled with ambition, but her smile hid the exhaustion of working 3 jobs to fund her dream, a restaurant of her own, a place where food wasn't just served but celebrated as a unifier of people. Her skin, a rich brown, glowed under the soft chandeliers, though she often caught the sidelong glances of patrons who judged her before she even spoke. Born in Brooklyn to a single mother who worked as a nurse, Kira had learned early that nothing came easy. She'd watched her mother, Grace, sacrifice nights and weekends to keep their small apartment warm, teaching Kira that resilience was more than a word, it was a way of life. By 16, Kira was bussing tables at a local diner, saving every penny for culinary school. Now, years later, she was closer than ever to her dream, with $30,000 tucked away in a savings account. But the road was steep, and nights like tonight tested her resolve. Lucille's clientele was a mix of old money, new money, and those desperate to look like they had either. Kira had served them all, actors, politicians, tech moguls, her warm professionalism disarming even the most demanding. But no one unsettled her like Andrew Calloway. Andrew, 42, was a billionaire real estate tycoon whose name adorned skyscrapers across New York. With his sharp jawline, tailored Brioni suits, and a perpetual smirk, he carried himself like a man who owned the world. His reputation preceded him, ruthless in business, dismissive in person, and utterly unapologetic. To Andrew, people were either useful or invisible, and Kira, to him, was firmly in the latter category. It was a Friday night, the restaurant buzzing with the clink of wine glasses and murmured conversations. Kira balanced a tray of appetizers when the hostess, Sarah, rushed over, her face pale. "Kira, Calloway's here. He's demanding a private table, now." Kira's stomach tightened. Andrew was a regular, and his requests were always a power play. She nodded, weaving through the crowded dining room to the secluded corner booth he preferred, reserved for VIPs. Another couple was already seated there, celebrating an anniversary. Kira approached them gently, explaining the situation and offering a complimentary bottle of wine to move them. Their disappointment stung, but she had no choice. Lucille's manager, Mr. Grayson, had made it clear. Andrew Calloway got what he wanted. When Andrew arrived, his presence sucked the air from the room. His assistant, a nervous young man named Ethan, trailed behind, clutching a tablet. Andrew's icy blue eyes scanned the booth, then landed on Kira. "You," he said, his voice low and sharp. "I don't want you serving me." Kira froze, her heart pounding. "I'm sorry, sir, is there something I can?" "I don't want you," he repeated, his gaze raking over her. "Get me someone else. Someone better suited." The words hit like a slap. The restaurant quieted, eyes darting toward them. Kira's cheeks burned, but she kept her voice steady. "I'll get another server, sir." As she turned to leave, Andrew's voice followed, louder now, meant for the room. "It's not personal. I just don't trust certain types to get it right." The implication was clear. Kira's hands clenched into fists, but she walked away, her head high. In the kitchen, she leaned against the wall, her breath shaky. Sarah, who'd overheard, touched her arm. "He's a jerk, Kira. Don't let him get to you." But he had. Not because his words were new, she'd faced prejudice before, but because they were so public, so deliberate. Andrew hadn't just insulted her, he'd tried to erase her. And yet, as the anger simmered, something else sparked inside her, a fierce determination to prove him wrong. The next morning, Kira sat in her small Brooklyn apartment, the memory of Andrew's words looping in her mind. She could have let it break her, could have let his cruelty define her night. But Kira wasn't built to crumble. She opened her laptop, her savings account balance glaring back. $30,125.43. It wasn't enough for a restaurant, not yet, but it was a start. And Andrew Calloway had just given her a reason to push harder. She thought about her mother, who'd always said, "Hate doesn't win unless you let it." Kira wasn't going to confront Andrew with anger. That was too easy. She'd show him, and the world, what she was capable of. But how? A restaurant was still a dream, not a reality. She needed something immediate, something that would amplify her voice. That's when the idea hit: social media. Kira wasn't a tech wizard, but she'd grown up in the age of hashtags and viral moments. She'd seen how a single post could spark a movement. What if she told her story? Not just Andrew's cruelty, but her dream, her hustle, her refusal to be diminished. Not to shame him, but to inspire others. She spent the day crafting her first post. She recorded a video, sitting at her kitchen table, her voice steady but raw. "My name is Kira Black," she began, "and last night, a powerful man tried to make me feel small because of who I am. He told me I wasn't good enough to serve him because of my skin. But I'm not here to dwell on his hate. I'm here to tell you about my dream, to open a restaurant where everyone is welcome, where food brings us together. I've been saving for years, working 3 jobs, and I'm not stopping now. This is my story, and I'm just getting started." She posted it on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, tagging it with hashtag Kira's Dream and hashtag RiseAbove. She didn't name Andrew yet. She didn't need to. The post was about her, not him. By evening, it had a few hundred likes, mostly from friends and co-workers. But by the next morning, it had exploded. A local food blogger shared it, then a Black-owned business account with thousands of followers. Comments poured in: "You're an inspiration. Don't let him win. What's the restaurant going to be called?" Kira's phone buzzed non-stop, her follower count climbing into the thousands. She was stunned, but energized. This wasn't just about her anymore, it was about everyone who'd ever been told they weren't enough. At Lucille that night, Kira felt the eyes of her co-workers. Word had spread. Sarah pulled her aside. "Kira, your video, it's everywhere. People are talking about it on Twitter. They're saying it's that Calloway guy." Kira's heart raced. She hadn't named him, but Andrew's reputation was so notorious that people had connected the dots. Part of her worried, would this backfire? Would she lose her job? But Mr. Grayson, surprisingly, said nothing. In fact, he seemed almost pleased, as if the attention might boost Lucille's profile. Andrew, meanwhile, was oblivious. He was in his penthouse, sipping scotch, reviewing contracts. His assistant, Ethan, scrolled through Twitter, his face paling. "Mr. Calloway, you need to see this." He showed Andrew the video, now at 500,000 views. Andrew scoffed. "Some waitress whining? It'll blow over." But it didn't. The hashtag Kira's Dream trended, and with it came whispers of Andrew's behavior. Blogs picked up the story, and soon, a local news outlet reached out to Kira for an interview. She hesitated. Naming Andrew publicly could escalate things, but she agreed, focusing on her dream rather than his actions. "I want to create a space where everyone feels valued," she told the reporter, her voice steady. "That's what drives me." The interview aired, and the response was overwhelming. Donations poured into a crowdfunding page Kira's friend, Maya, had set up for her restaurant. Strangers sent messages of support, sharing their own stories of discrimination. A celebrity chef, Marcus Tate, tweeted, "Kira Black is the future of food. Can't wait to eat at her restaurant. Hashtag Kira's Dream." Kira's savings grew, $40,000, then $60,000. Investors reached out, intrigued by her vision, a restaurant called Unity, where the menu would blend her Brooklyn roots with global flavors, a place where every dish told a story of connection. She started scouting locations, her dream no longer a distant hope but a tangible plan. 6 months later, Kira stood in an empty storefront in Brooklyn, the lease signed. Unity was happening. The crowdfunding had raised $200,000, and a small business loan covered the rest. She'd quit Lucille, pouring her energy into building her restaurant. The space was modest but perfect, a brick-walled corner spot with big windows, ready to welcome the community. Her social media campaign had evolved into a movement. #Kira's dream wasn't just about her restaurant, it was about resilience, equality, and the power of community. She posted updates daily, painting the walls, testing recipes, hiring staff. Her followers, now in the hundreds of thousands, cheered her on. Local artists offered to decorate the space. Musicians volunteered to perform at the opening. Unity was becoming more than a restaurant. It was a symbol. Andrew, meanwhile, was unraveling. The media had latched onto the story, digging into his history of dismissive behavior. Former employees spoke out, recounting his arrogance. Business partners distanced themselves, wary of the backlash. His latest real estate deal, a luxury condo project, stalled as investors pulled out, citing reputational concerns. Andrew's smug confidence cracked. He wasn't used to losing. One night, alone in his penthouse, he scrolled through Kira's Instagram. Her posts were vibrant, full of life. Pictures of her laughing with her team, tasting dishes, hanging a sign that read, "Unity, where everyone belongs." Andrew's jaw tightened. He'd underestimated her. He'd thought she was just a waitress, someone he could dismiss. Now, she was a force, and he was the one fading. Unity's opening night was electric. The line stretched down the block, a mix of locals, foodies, and supporters who'd followed Kira's journey online. The restaurant glowed with warm lights, the air filled with the scent of jerk chicken, miso-glazed cod, and cornbread with honey butter, dishes that honored Kira's heritage and her vision of connection. Live music played, a jazz trio filling the space with soul. Kira moved through the crowd, greeting guests, her smile radiant. Then, she saw him. Andrew Calloway stood at the edge of the room, alone, his usual swagger gone. He looked out of place, his suit too crisp for the casual warmth of Unity. Kira's heart raced. She hadn't expected him to show up. Not after everything. She approached, her voice calm but firm. "Mr. Calloway. Welcome to Unity." The room quieted, sensing the tension. Andrew cleared his throat, his eyes avoiding hers. I saw your posts. I came to see what this was about." He paused, then softer. "I was wrong. What I said that night, it was wrong. I'm sorry." The words hung in the air. Kira studied him, searching for sincerity. She saw it, not in his words, but in the way his shoulders slumped, the way his eyes flickered with something like shame. This wasn't the Andrew Calloway who'd tried to break her. This was a man diminished, not by her, but by the weight of his own actions. She could have rejected him, could have asked him to leave. Instead, she nodded. "Thank you for coming. Have a seat. Everyone's welcome here." The crowd murmured, some in approval, others in surprise. Andrew sat, and Kira sent over a plate of her signature dish, a fusion of southern collard greens and Korean kimchi, a nod to unity in diversity. He ate in silence, the room watching. When he left, he didn't speak, but he left a tip, a check for $10,000, with a note, "For Unity." The next morning, Kira sat with Maya, staring at the check. "What do I do with this?" she asked. "It's his money. His name." Maya shrugged. "Use it. Make it mean something." Kira thought about it. Andrew's apology hadn't erased the pain, but it had shown her something. Even the most arrogant could change. She didn't need his money to succeed, she'd already done that. But she could use it to amplify her mission. She donated the $10,000 to a local youth program, teaching kids from underserved communities to cook, to dream, to rise. The media caught wind of it, and the story spread. Billionaire's apology turned into community good. Andrew's name faded from the headlines, replaced by Kira's. Unity thrived, booked solid for months. Investors offered to franchise it, but Kira declined. "This is home," she said. "This is enough." A year later, Kira stood in Unity's kitchen, teaching a group of teens how to knead dough. The restaurant was more than a business, it was a beacon. Her mother, Grace, visited often, her pride palpable. "You did this," she'd say, tears in her eyes. "You turned hate into love." Kira's journey wasn't just about opening a restaurant. It was about showing the world that resilience could outshine cruelty, that community could heal wounds, that a single voice could spark change. Andrew Calloway was a footnote in her story, a reminder that even the powerful could fall, and the determined could rise. As she looked out at the packed dining room, filled with laughter and stories, Kira felt a peace she'd never known. She'd built more than a restaurant, she'd built a legacy. And she was just getting started.